Support for Ruff Talk VR is brought to you by Manscaped, the champion in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels.
Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. That's going to be 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code RuffTalkVR, no spaces, at manscaped.com.
Imagine shaving with a sleek, well-designed, and optimized trimmer that makes shaving time your favorite time in the bathroom, which is tough competition.
I've been lucky enough to try the new 4.0, and I'm blown away by the performance. The craftsmanship and details on the 4.0 are next level.
I remember the first time I went to go trim up my boys downtown, and I thought I could get away with using the same dull razor I use on my face. Let me tell you, I was wrong. It took a long time before I could have the confidence to go to town down there again, and I'm glad to say Manscaped has given me the confidence I need to shape my boys up pretty.
Manscaped engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and an incredibly comfortable grooming experience. Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. I now feel confident shaving my boys.
Men, if you've been shaving with the same nut trimmer on your face, you've been doing it wrong. No person wants to end up with pubes in their mouth. It's time to get your own ball hair and body trimmer with Manscaped to make me time the best time and enhance your confidence with some nice, smooth boys.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code RuffTalkVR, all one word, at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you.
This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Design. Kiwi is the leader in Oculus Quest and VR accessories. And now you can deck out your device while supporting the podcast.
The Oculus Quest 2 is a great headset, but do you ever find things could be a bit more comfortable, maybe a little safer? Well, we have the solution for you. With lens protectors, controller grips, face covers, head straps, link cables, headset stands, and so much more.
And let's be real, we've all whacked our controller. You don't want to be that guy messaging Oculus support for your own mistake or waiting weeks for an out-of-stock controller. Visit the link in our show notes now to prepare yourself today.
And you don't need to sacrifice comfort for cost either. Kiwi is constantly running promotions of 20, 25, and even 30% off.
Just visit the link in our show notes and use the promo code on their website to take full advantage of your savings. And be sure to follow the link in our show notes so we get credit and you help support the podcast. And remember, Kiwi has you covered for all your VR needs. This podcast is brought to you today by Zencastr, the company we choose to use for our interviews.
I remember that first interview we had and the stress that we went through trying to find a platform that we were going to host this on.
That's where Zencastr came in. With HD video recording and studio sound quality, we were able to connect seamlessly with guests all over the world.
I love the fact that it's as easy as sending our guests a link, they click on it, and they're connected.
With automatic post-production, secured cloud backup, and automated transcripts, Zencastr is the perfect solution for any remote podcast. If you want to make remote podcasting easy,
make sure you go to zencastr.com/pricing and enter the promo code RuffTalkVR, and you'll save 30% off your first 3 months.
That's zencastr.com/pricing, promo code RuffTalkVR. It's your time to share your story. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we're going a little airborne today with a new VR flying game known as Ultrawings 2.
Yep, the sequel to Ultrawings.
Go figure.
Which I did buy when it came out.
Yeah, and we had discussed, do we start with reviewing Ultrawings 1 or do we hop just right into Ultrawings 2? And specifically in this case, we had kind of discussed it's probably better let's just go right to the sequel.
Yeah, and the first one, I mean, the differences are,
it's kind of like the Climb to the Climb 2. It's not a huge...
No, they like the islands that you can go visit are 3 times larger in the second one than the first one. You can fly to any of the islands now, where the first one you still could, but it wasn't the same as it is now. So.
Yeah, but nonetheless, Ultrawings is just as I said, a VR flying game. I don't really want to say flying simulator.
It's not. It's an arcade. You could say an arcade flying simulator.
Yeah, but it shows the potential of a flying sim on the Quest 2. I mean, it gives you that...
Potential and is 2 different conversations, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like,
no, absolutely. But you do feel that feeling like you're in air. Like you look out the window while you're flying with the little joystick control they have, and man, you get a little bit of that stomach feeling.
Yeah. Before let's get into the ratings, the developer, and the cost.
Yeah, sometimes we almost skip right over that, getting so excited about what we're talking about. But nonetheless, Ultrawings 2 is made by developers Bit Planet Games. It's currently rocking a 4.3 overall on the official Oculus Quest store, with 217 total ratings, and of those 217, 132 are written reviews, and also this game is $24.99.
And just came out in February 3rd, 2022.
So brand new. Since we've picked it up and started playing already, there's been a couple updates, not really adding new content, but just patching things up.
No, I mean, I'm guessing there's going to be some content coming. They do have 5 aircraft that you are able to play in this game.
And a shit ton of islands.
They're unlockable, so you're not going to start off with all 5.
No, and it's unlockable and purchasable. So in this game, you do various missions, which they say there's over a dozen mission types. At first, they seem a little bit more repetitive, but as you explore different islands, you start to see more different mission types. But basically, you do a mission, you get money, and to buy a new, plane costs, example, $25,000. So you got to do a bunch of missions till you have enough money.
Yeah, and they kind of like twofold it. Like they'll have you do different missions or operations depending on what aircraft you're using. And then you're essentially purchasing a local airport on a different island, but they also have international airports that cost like, 4 or 5 times the money. So in some cases you'll go and you'll buy the airport and you'll have the plane. And then in another case, you'll have to buy to get the helicopter, you have to buy the airport, and then you have to pony up $50,000 additional to actually get the helicopter, which was a little frustrating because I was like, I'm hell bent on getting this helicopter. I want the helicopter flight experience more than the airplane flight experience. But yeah, you gotta freaking work for it. But there's well over 100 missions overall. Like I think hundreds would probably be more accurate. I personally found them. Yes, they do add some deviation to them, but
they're repetitive.
It's a very rinse, wash, repeat method of playing. They do give you the free flight mode, so you can take any aircraft that you own, and
that's the most flying sim part of it, but it's still not enough to call it a flying sim.
No, I don't think it's even classified as one, but it's look, they make you do some of the motions of flying an airplane. Like you can't just get in it and like you're flying. You have to get in it. You have to turn on your magneto. You have to turn on your fuel, and you do that by actually using your hand with the controller.
Yep. So then you pull the trigger and grip it, turn.
Yep. Then you have to fire up your ignition, and they give you a little cheat board to your right, so you always know, like, hey, you got to turn the fuel on, and then you can't just like flick the switch for the ignition. You got to hold it, and the plane slowly churns on, and then fire up your accelerator. As you get more advanced, they start throwing curves at you like, hey, there's flaps to your right-hand side, so set that to 15%, which is crucial for short takeoffs. Flaps are real useful. But I want a flight sim more than anything else. It's like,
I've seen you play those since I was a little kid.
Dude.
Spend hours just going country to country, whatever.
You have no idea. It's like if the new Xbox didn't cost $1,000, I swear to God, I'd own it just for Microsoft Flight. No other reason. I wouldn't care. I've been a flight sim junkie since the first time that like the graphics were good on a PC. They're like, okay, shit. And then I got the flight control sticks and all that. So yeah, I'm always in deep with flight sims. So the only reason I even wanted this was just to see what, where are we at with the possibility of a flight sim and I won't say VR because of course you can, but in a Quest
standalone VR.
Yeah. What are we currently looking at? What are we capable of? The amount of shit you got to do to fly an airplane in this is less.
Yeah, it's not 100% realistic in that case. It starts to scratch the surface of like flying controls and management.
Correct.
But managing your flight is really straightforward. It's just pretty much moving either the joystick that they have to control the airplane or your analog sticks.
Yeah, they give you the ability you can use your stick. I think you're better off using your hand, but it's kind of double-edged.
I like to use the hand because it feels more realistic.
Yeah, but they don't use there's another flight sim. I'll leave it nameless at this moment, but the way they do their controls is more of a snap-on method. So like, yes, you can fly with your hand, but your hand is snapped onto the object, so it doesn't free flow as much.
Yep.
Whereas this, you can grab the yoke of the plane and you can move it right, left, up, down, just like a normal plane.
But it's very wiggly.
It's more free flowing than it should. I'd say.
No, I get exactly what you mean, and you can even see where, like, to me, where the jankiness of this game shows the most isn't in the flight or anything like that. It's when you grab things, even in your little office. So when you first load in this game, they start you in like a little office, and there's a helmet on the ground. There's like a little laser pointer, and you use that laser pointer to navigate in the menu. And then in that moment in the office where you're grabbing stuff, like you grab the laser pointer, there's some other objects in there. Things are just janky when you pick them up. It's all kind of like floppy and wiggly. You load in your save game by like picking up a floppy disk and putting it into a computer. Every time I pick up the floppy disk, it's a little wiggly, and it goes in. So that's definitely where the jankiness shows, and it shows a little bit in that joystick when you're grabbing it.
It's just a little too. I mean, it's double edged, like I said, because I love flight simulator type things, but from a control standpoint, yes, it's enjoyable. But if they could somehow just add the little
snap into place as you're moving.
Yeah, so it's like, I get it with the turning on the fuel. All you're doing is turning a thing right or left. Your magneto is just a switch, little click click. Even the throttle, it's weird because when I push the throttle up, if you were to normally do it, you would put palm down and push throttle up. I do it the other way. I just use the back of my palm and I just I have a video or two that of me flying around and just screwing around in free flight. But
yeah, I think those moments are what makes you say a little bit more arcadey.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it as like, hey, this is just an arcade flight,
show the potential.
Yeah, grease the surface of maybe what we can expect down the road. But it also looks like there's room for growth in this game, because one could argue 5 aircraft is not going to keep you playing.
No, but they do a great job. They do a great job making you earn each new aircraft. So they do, but my personal problem is like, I already see the end zone with that last plane. I see more spaces that more planes can be added. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Yep. Like, okay, so I don't know if that's just a little teaser to the consumer, like, hey, well, maybe we'll add a couple more planes. My big incentive to keep playing is unlocking new planes. So for me, I agree. Once you unlock all the planes, unlocking more islands and just doing more missions.
Yeah, it's very redundant. You already own everything, so what's the point now? Yeah, and you can free flight if you own all the planes.
The planes are where it's really at. But when you first start this game, you only have access to one island, and you don't even, to be honest with you, they don't really even explain the island aspect or anything in the initial.
Nah, you just do what you're told.
No, you kind of figure it out as you start playing. But so you load in, you're in that office, you have one plane, one ultralight, and you're on your default island, and they have you do a license test, which you have to do for every new airplane that you get. Yep. The first time you get it, before you do any missions with it, they make you do a license test, which is usually they teach you how to turn it on, they'll teach you how to take off, and then usually they teach you how to land.
Yep. Lower your landing gear and shit like that.
Yeah. Pretty straightforward.
Although the ultralight has no landing gear, so you don't have to worry about that.
No. The other ones do, though.
Yep. Yeah, and in fairness to the only 5 planes, since I was the one I'm fussing about it, there's progressionally more difficult each plane you get.
Absolutely. So the ultralight is it's slowest. It's easy.
Anybody can fly an ultralight.
Yeah. And it wiggles a bunch. It doesn't have the best handling, but it's real easy to land. It's real easy to take off.
Not very fast.
The next plane is much more of a standard plane.
Like a
I think they call it what do they call it in the actual game? The Stallion. Yeah. Because it's hard to land. It's hard to control as you land it. Is what your intercom.
It's like a World War II. It's like a World War II fighter plane.
But that one's
open cockpit.
Much more straightforward. Actually how you take off with it, what you explained earlier, is to a T for taking off with the Stallion.
Yep.
Like Stratus said, for this one you have a landing gear and you take off, and then you have the rudders to kind of subtly turn
Well,
left and right.
every plane has the rudders, but with the ultralight, you're not forced to use it.
No.
Whereas the missions and I'll say challenges. They're not missions. The challenges that they throw in front of you later on in the game, it's like if you don't use the rudder, you'll never bank the corner, and you'll never.
Absolutely
never
not. Yeah, I agree on that. And
but it does have it.
my only complaint with the with the rudders on that is, so to control it, you use the left analog stick.
Mm-hmm.
All the other aspects of the control of the plane in terms of steering, you can do kind of realistically. Like you grab the handle and you turn, everything like that.
You know why though, right?
Why?
Because it's done with your feet.
Okay, and there's no way to.
Yep.
I know it's
foot
just,
tracking. I thought of that.
It's just disappointing to have everything be hands on, and then that one aspect.
Only the limitation of
real. No, that makes
sense.
sense.
And that's just food for thought. Of because again, I want a fucking flight simulator in VR more than anybody in the whole wide world, but
there's limitations.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have foot tracking, how are you gonna?
So that's not really something that's their fault, but it's
they did the best they definitely did the best they could to allow, because they could have just said, okay, we can't do it, so no rudder, and just figured out, like, pulled the trigger and you can bank your turn, shit like that. But so they did. But if you look at the floor when you turn with the rudder, you'll actually see the pedals
moving. Yeah, they do a great job with the little details like that.
Same thing with the brakes. When you apply the brakes when you land, which you have to do, you'll see both the pedals get pushed forward, just like normal brake. It's freaking awesome.
And to put down your landing gear, it's an actual knob switch that you have to move up or down.
It's I'll say it's semi-authentic.
Yep.
To each plane that you're in, even though they've kind of taken their own liberties, I think, with some of the planes. I mean, the ultralight so far to me is probably the most realistic to what I've seen.
Yeah, that was the hardest for me to control.
Ultralight?
That was the hardest. Well, because the first time I played, right, I didn't know. You get used to it as you play. The Stallion and all the other ones, you can really turn them.
But yeah, you bank the hell out of them.
Yeah, the ultralight, you really you move that handle subtly. So the first time I went to go play it, I'm trying to bank big turns with it, and I'm spinning out of control. And like, you can lose control in this. You'll feel it. I almost feel like it's a little self-psychological, like I'm doing it to myself, just panic. But like, you'll start to spin out or something, like you lose control and you're trying to get back on track, and it's just like you can't in time. You see objects coming, and then bam, you crash.
You crash.
But besides that, so the Stallion's kind of your more traditional airplane, and then after that you get a jet.
Yep, the Comet.
Then you get a helicopter, and then the last one is a stunt plane.
Yep.
So
that's the 5.
Good diversity there, and then, like you said, there's the free fly mode, so you can pick any plane and fly around.
If you own it.
That's
There's
an important distinction.
No sandbox on this one.
No, where you can just pick anything regardless if you've unlocked it or anything. No.
Yep.
And so then you pick which airplane you want while you're on the island, and then each airplane has different missions. And, it says over a dozen, but like we said, they're pretty straightforward. They usually involve flying through rings in some way, either in a sequential order or in any order, or shooting things down, and then, maybe they'll have you land or take off, or maybe you start mid-flight.
Yep, they also give you shoot some balloons.
Yeah, or you shoot some balloons.
Give you a pistol or a dart gun or whatever it is.
Yeah, or your plane has its gun, but
only the Stallion gets operations. Everybody else gets jobs,
the missions. Well, the Stallion does have missions as well, but you can do ops with it. So besides the missions,
it's the only one with the machine guns
built in. Yeah, as you progress through it and you start to unlock, more missions, you'll look and you have ops. Oh, now, you got the Stallion, you get to do an ops. So what's an ops? That's you dogfight. And I won't lie, when I read that there was dogfighting in this game, I was so confident that was going to be my favorite part. And like, that's going to be what I excel at. I love it, Dude, I suck at dogfighting in this game. Because like, your first op, every mission has like a bronze, silver, and gold that you can get in it for either, hitting every target, doing everything in a perfect, in a certain amount of time, whatever it is. So I'll look and it's like, you have to finish the op in this amount of time to get this medal. And then so boom, I killed the first guy. And I'm like, yes, I finally did it. It took, in good time. And then comes another guy. and always that second guy. That's where I'm screwed on that op. I can't get good time on it. So I suck at the dogfighting. So yeah, you can either do the missions or the dogfight. But what's cool is every island that you're on has its own missions. So let's say you do all the missions for, the ultralight and the stallion on the first island. Then you buy a new island and you travel to it. Now it's all new missions again. So like you can redo the missions without doing the same missions,
Yeah. I found them. Now I'll call them bullshit. I find the missions to be very just too repetitive. Like I just want to get to the last plane and be like, okay, I have the planes, but I've got a pretty big replayability issue with this.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's almost like, and I get why there's no sandbox mode, because you'd never ever.
Well, there's the sandbox would be the flying around, but
no, I'm saying the ability to have all your planes without unlocking them.
Mm-hmm.
If they did that from the get go, you would
never
do a mission.
Yeah,
ever.
Never.
Because it's I give them credit for what they've done though, because they've touched the waters of flight simulation and VR on a freestanding headset and were able to pull it off.
And not for nothing, the graphics aren't bad.
No,
they're not like knock your socks off.
No, I treat again. If it was a flight sim, I'd probably have to hurt them on the aesthetics a little, but for what they do is what they do. It's like if you look at Ultrawings, the first one they did, graphics are pretty similar to me. So it's like I thought they were good back then because you do get the sensation of flying. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I have very strong VR legs. Like I don't get nausea or anything like that. And I didn't get nauseous at any point, but I had that feeling in my stomach, especially the first time I played and I'm spinning out of control with the ultralight. It's like, oh my God. Whoa.
Yeah.
You take a sharp turn or you start to, you go too far down, nosedive, whatever. You'll be, whoa. You even heard me a couple times in the party chat.
Oh, I was dying laughing. The funniest thing you ever said was you're coming in for a land and you're like, we were both just quiet, and then you're like, "Oh man, we're coming in hot, boys."
Yeah, I was like, "No, I thought
we're coming in hot, boys.
This is gonna be a rough one."
I was dying
because I wish you could have seen what was coming on my screen, because like the landing strip is right there, and like so the way this will go, it'll be like you'll select a mission, and it'll be like, fly through these rings in sequential order, which on the first island is pretty easy, but you start to go to the other islands, they're a little bit more difficult. They're, like you said, cutting the corners and stuff, you really have to use the rudders. They're assholes in some of the ways they design it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's where you lose control because, like, I don't know about you. I want to get gold. If you have bronze, silver, and gold, I'm not happy getting bronze. I want to get gold, especially when, in this game, you get more money if you get the higher, if you get gold.
You need for the other airports.
To unlock everything.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like, I want gold. So, you'll be flying through, and then I don't even know how they expect you to do it clean. But they'll be like, the next ring will be like at a 90-degree angle. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So you cut and, go through it. And then after you, go through all 8, sometimes it'll have you land. So then, it'll be like, all right, where is this landing strip? And just so happens the way you're flying in, because I'm not the best pilot or anything like that. Boom, I start to get close. I'm like, fuck. I'm not facing it like at the way that I'll land towards the runway.
Yeah.
So I got to start to circle out. So then that way I come actually, properly onto the runway. Well, this time I realized everything just happened in way too small of a space. Like I cut through, I did a sharp corner, I got that last ring, and then the landing strip was right there. So I'm like, oh, fuck, this is going to be rough, boys, because I have to start to land. You don't just go down. You're going to crash. You have to, start to bring the throttle back. What's the lever on the right side? What's that called again?
Oh, the flaps.
Yeah, the flaps. You got to start to bring those down.
Lower the flaps a little.
I have maybe 6 seconds to land, the most. So I have to start pulling everything down, line myself up. I'm like, this shit's going to be rough, boys. But they're pretty generous with, like, once you get your throttle down.
Forgiving.
Yeah. I skid a lot on that one. I landed almost off the runway. I was like, man, it was intense. It was a rough one, but I landed it.
Some of the touch and go challenges that I've seen them put up are pretty tough.
No, some of the challenges.
But again, I just wish there was more variety of challenges.
Yeah, I wish that. I don't know. There's something about this game that I like it. I have a good time with it, but I catch myself getting extremely frustrated. Probably more frustrated than I should be trying to enjoy a video game. Like some of the challenges with like the way that they expect you to cut through the rings. It's like by the 7th time of trying, I'm just agitated because like Some of the missions, they start you in the air. Some of them. But most of them, you have to take off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right, I crashed or I failed. It's not just start again. Now I got to take... It takes 10 seconds, but by your 7th time, you're just annoyed starting the thing again.
Yeah,
Go mess up at the same spot again, which it's on me, but I catch myself getting agitated. Or like, so to go back to the islands, you have all these different islands. You buy a new island, and now you want to go to that airport that you're at. You have to fly to it, which is like, I get what they're trying to get at conceptually as a cool feature, but it gets very annoying once you've already traveled to the island before. Like, I wish once you've traveled to the island, you could just fast travel to it instead of needing to fly to it every single time, because if you're not that great at this game and you fuck your landing up and you crash as you land at your airport, like, dude, it's 10 minutes again.
Yeah, no, I wish they had
So it's like, oh my god,
progression checkpoints. You know,
Yeah.
so if you're flying and you made it through the halfway mark, at least they'll start you airborne. Or give you the option, you know, hey,
okay, or how about this?
Retry from midpoint or some shit.
I buy an airport.
Yeah.
I should have to fly to it the first time I ever go to it,
Mm-hmm.
because I haven't been to it yet. So I bought it. Now I should have to fly to it. Once I've already flown there and I own it, I should just be able to pew.
I agree.
Because, like, again, there was one time I crashed twice trying to go to the next island. That was 30 minutes of my life just to go to a different island. It's like, to be honest with you, at that point, I kind of just want to close the app. So that's a little disappointing. But that's a little bit on me, because, like, I'm getting more frustrated than I should playing a video game to have fun.
I mean,
you know?
it happened to me a couple of times.
Where you're failing the same mission, or like, it's just like,
Yeah, you just don't want to have to start it from the runway, sitting
Mhm.
there, turn on magneto, turn on
Yeah.
fuel, adjust flaps to 15%, accelerate, take
I catch
off.
myself having more agitation than fun.
There's
and
one
sometimes.
particular mission. It was a bomber mission. You had to shoot down up to 3 bombers, minimally 1, which sounds easy enough, but there's like a whole sky of them, and they're all shooting at you and shit. But it's like, it takes, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds to fly to the bombers, and then you do, and then, you know, if you get killed, right then and there, you're in it for another 45, because that's just getting there.
Yep.
It's not even the fight.
Yep.
So it's like, if they had a checkpoint, maybe at the, okay, you got to the checkpoint that
Yeah.
they tell you have to get to, and you made it there. Like in most video games, you get to a freaking checkpoint.
Yeah.
That's kind of a save point,
Yep.
you know, where you're safe. But the missions aren't very long. You're talking,
No,
you know,
couple
minutes.
minutes.
There's
3
some
minutes
that-
the
there's some that-
most.
I think there was one I finished in less than 30 seconds.
The dog fights the longest ones to me. The ops. The flying through
Yeah.
the rings and stuff, those are they're pretty straightforward. They're pretty
Yeah,
quick.
some of the ring ones they can be long, but I think the dog fights.
Whoa, the ring ones can be hard or can be long for me when I keep failing it, and then I have to start it again. I have
Right.
to start it again. I have to start it again. But it's a cool thing that they have going conceptually for progression with the money, because if you want to get all the airplanes,
Oh, you have to do the challenges.
well, it's a lot of gameplay time to get
Yep.
all the airplanes. So if you care about that stunt plane, that last plane for $100,000, you know, you have to put in a good amount of gameplay time to get there, between buying all the different planes, buying the different islands, like. So
Yeah, and the missions get and challenges get harder. So although the money amounts might get better,
yeah,
it becomes much harder and harder to get that, you know, full cash gold medal.
it's
I've got a lot of bronzes.
yeah, same. As somebody who cares a lot about getting gold, once I fail 5, 6, 7 times, I'm taking bronze if I can.
Yeah, I just want to get all my biggest push was to get the helicopter. I got the helicopter.
You kind of feel like you hit a wall after that?
Well, it's what I wanted more than anything else in the game was the helicopter experience. I really wanted to know how they'd pull it off,
Mhm.
whether it would be. It's the hardest one to fly, guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I mean, it's probably I actually think it's probably more of the most realistic one to fly, because it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Your hands aren't as, you know, you have to use your left hand to go up and down for acceleration, for or to fire up the engine. And it's not an airplane. It just doesn't start moving forward. You have to tilt it forward. So there's a big difference but you can hover. You can land on buildings, because I landed on a couple of the tall skyscrapers and shit. It's very accurate with the landing, but the learning curve of it is definitely Yeah. Definitely not, though. Yeah.
Especially going from the Comet to the helicopter.
Because you come in for a landing with this, it's, with the airplane, you just, reduce the engine and kind of glide down. With a helicopter, if you glide down, you're going to crash because it has to come down. And then, of course, the challenges for helicopters and shit, you have to land in a little pad for your license and shit.
Which it kind of goes without saying, like, the scenery in this game, you're not flying over barren wastelands. No, it's like there's cities you're flying over. There's a lot of buildings. What I'm getting at is between the mountains, the buildings, there's plenty of shit to crash into.
Just it's not photorealism.
Oh, no, not by any means.
10-year-old Microsoft Flight had better graphics, for sure.
But for you know what I'll say though, in VR with the headset on, I don't mind.
No,
it does the trick for me.
No, for now it
gives me that
it wet my whistle.
So.
Yeah, I've heard people complain about the motion sickness, and I've heard other people who are actual pilots. This is when the first one had come out. Be like, that feeling is pretty normal. Try sitting in the cockpit. There is a little occasional woozy feeling you can get, so you can negate that by turning on a fan.
Yeah, that goes with it. That also goes for all VR motion sickness.
Turn on a fan.
So if you're one of those people that struggle with it, that's a little pro tip. Just hit yourself with a fan.
I actually enjoy turning on my ceiling fan for this game, not to deal with anything with motion sickness, but I like to feel the air coming down on me.
Mm-hmm. So it feels more realistic.
Yeah, it's like the same thing. If I could trust myself with the ceiling fan on with Pop 1, I'd be in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
But I can anytime I use a fan with Pop 1, it's a little side mount fan.
Yeah.
And it just feels cooler. It adds to the immersion. So you turn a fan on with this game, you're going to feel more immersed and cut back on the possibility of possibly having motion sickness.
No, absolutely. So you want to go right into our final thoughts and our review?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So real quick, I'll always do my weekly begging. If you've been enjoying this episode, be sure to rate us 5 stars, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, whatever other podcast platform you listen to. Also, be sure to join our official subreddit at reddit.com/r/rufftalkvr or rufftalkvr.reddit.com. You can also just find the link in our show notes. There you can join an ever-growing community of Ruff Talk VR fans. You can also find a link to our sponsors, link to support the show directly through our Buy Me a Coffee link, help make this bad boy full-time, Other than that, let's go right into our final thoughts. So I'll keep the begging short this week. For our review categories, we always do 4 categories, each rated on a scale of 1 to 25, with the final score of all 4 categories, adding up to be the final score. So the 4 categories are gameplay, aesthetics, functionality, and replayability. So I'll start with gameplay. I'll give them 20 on gameplay. It's fun, especially right on the initial whoa, like that feeling that you get the first time you play. It's a really cool wow factor. They do a good job keeping things mostly realistic. I just think that there's some things missing in the gameplay and the realism, and just the control scheme to make it a clean 25. As well, there could be some more mission variety. There could just be some more depth to the game to make it, a clean 25, but it's not bad either, so I got to give them a 20 on gameplay. Aesthetics, I'm also going to give them a 20. They're, in my opinion, good graphics, especially for, I imagine that this is a very taxing game on the headset with all the different environments, the physics going on with the flying. So with all the load that's going on the headset, I'd say the graphics are pretty good with that considered. And they're not bad either. You joked, 10-year-old Microsoft simulator. I don't know if I would go that bad, but
I would.
Yeah, to me they weren't too terrible, but they also aren't like any real VR fishing. So I'll go 20 on the aesthetics. Functionality, I'm going to give them a 20 because I've unfortunately had some glitches. Like I said, everything kind of feels a little funky, like you got stretched, spaghetti arms when you pick things up. And also there's been some times that I know that this isn't me messing up. I finish a mission. It'll say, go through all the rings. I land. It shows me the waypoint. I land. And then my screen switches. And it says I've flown through 8 of the 8 rings, and there's no way to complete the mission. So then I'll have to abandon the mission, redo the whole thing again, do the same exact thing I just did, and then it'll work. So, unfortunately, you will you could encounter some glitches, but I do see them pumping out some updates. But as of right now, I got to give them a 20 on functionality as well. Nothing that will stop you completely from playing the game, but you'll run into some glitches in my opinion. And replayability, I got to give them a 20. It's not going to be my number one played game. It was fun, but I catch myself getting, like I said before, kind of agitated playing the game sometimes due to my own failures. And like you said, you get all the planes you want, and you're still going to have a shit ton more islands to unlock, but you're probably not going to keep doing the missions just to get the islands. The vehicles, the planes, that's what it's really about. So replayability, I also got to give them a 20 on there. So 20 all across the board. I'll give them an 80.
Okay, fair enough. So gameplay, I give them a 20. I'd love to give them a 25, but you kind of can't, not at this stage anyways. And I'm, in fairness, this is the second one they did, so I'll call it like it is. I kind of expected more for a number 2, not pretty much a carbon copy of number 1, but just, some of the gripes, or I don't know, whatever. Maybe I'm being an asshole about it, but I don't think it's definitely a 25. So 20 on gameplay. Aesthetics, this is where I'm a little weird. I'm not going into it thinking that I'm going to get photorealism, so I'm actually giving them a 25 on the aesthetics. The sounds aren't bad. Some of the mechanical sounds of like the comet, the jet, it's got a sense of realism, especially when you shut your fuel off, which you'll learn about when you play the game as to why you'd ever want to do that, or shut your engine off. But the sound it makes, just that little hum in the background, was pretty spot on. Some of the background effects when you fly actually really I thought were a nice touch. And the graphics, I was kind of pleased with the first one. Again, I would have liked a lot more, I guess, graphically from this one, but there's only so much you can do. And some of the changes they did do, I know, are putting added strain on the overall usage of the headset. You'll definitely go through a battery so quick with this. But I'll give them a 25. Functionality, I had the same glitch you did. I only had it once. You've actually had it numerous times. We party chat when we play. I watch it go down live when it's happening. The only thing I'm not doing is seeing it. We even both have tried to explore possibilities. Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And it's like everything you're describing is just as you described it. You redo that same mission, do nothing different, land in the same freaking spot, and all of a sudden it lets you go back to your home screen and complete the mission. So that's a weird one. And if it happened to me more than once, I'd probably be really sour about it. But 15, 20 out of fairness for functionality. There's also a couple weird issues when you fly from one island to the next and you get to like that halfway point. The game kind of glitches up for a second. Not full-blown lockup or anything, but just like you're going through some, like, to another map, but that's how it loads in. So a 20. Replayability, damn, I'm a little harsher than you. I give them a 15 because, I love flight simulators. But let's say you do every single mission and you've got all 5 planes and there's no more releases and no more updates and nothing. You're going to be bored, dude. There's only so much flying you can do with no purpose, because there's no purpose. You're just like, oh, I'm just going to go fly. So I got to give them a 15. And it pains me a little because I wish there was just more of a reason. And that's not to say that if they drop a new aircraft, I'm not going to go in and get that aircraft. But again, once you have that aircraft, there's a reason why flight simulators will give you so much variety of airplane, because it's real easy to get bored, especially when the mechanics aren't much different. Turn this on, do this, adjust that. Some of the nice touches, though, that are worth mentioning, there'll be daytime, there'll be nighttime, there'll be overcast flying conditions.
Yeah, we didn't really mention that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, just from, because I don't want to seem like this is an overall, like I'm really shitting on this game, because I'm not. But a 20, 25, 20, and a 15 is still an 80. So 20, 40, 60, 70, 80. Yeah.
Yep. After my little blunder, you always got to do a little add up, right? For
Yep,
those of you
I
that
get
don't know,
scared.
I did mess up my numbers one time.
Yep.
You know, so
But one could argue functionality. If they get hit with the glitches like you did, and I'm telling you, cusp of 15, 20.
well, here's the problem with the glitches for me. And again, I'm wondering if this is on me. I don't get frustrated often
I had
playing.
the same. I
No,
had
no,
the same exact.
What I was-
same exact issue.
What I was gonna say is getting frustrated while playing. That's not something that happens to me often while playing games.
If it happens more than once, yeah, well, you're human.
Yeah. But this type of glitch doesn't, like, if I'm already getting a little agitated from the amount of times I have to restart the mission, and then I do complete it, and I have to restart it, and it won't count because of a glitch, it sets me over.
Well, yeah, it'd be different too if there was some balance. Like, oh shit, well, I did crash that time, and it said I completed it and gave me gold for it, so I'll keep my mouth shut. But no, I mean, and this did come out February 3rd. I'd almost say it would probably be worth re-looking at this. You know, and this is kind of my problem. Sometimes people say, hey, how come you guys don't always jump on games when they
Right
first
away.
come out? It's because, listen, usually first come out products, that's when everybody's going to discover little problems above and beyond any beta test. And it's almost not fair to some of the games that we have talked about that had we, when they came out, would not have gotten the same score from us.
Yeah, it's always a struggle.
It's a catch-22.
Yeah, some of our best games that we've reviewed, it's ones that we've, our best experiences, we hopped into a year after it's out.
Yep.
And, it's
and so out of fairness to these guys,
it's not even a month.
A 75, 80 today could easily be, an 85 or 90 a year from now. So we'll just see what they invest. There was rumor multiplayer. I don't know. It's not there, but we'll see. Then you could do like multiplayer dogfights and shit.
That would be cool, but I would suck at the dogfight, so I'm not too interested. I wish I was better at the dogfights. That one's completely on me. I suck at dogfighting.
But for $24.99, grab it on sale at the $18 or $19.99 price point, and you got yourself a good game.
Yeah, if you're somebody who loves flying simulators, this is a little scratch the surface type. Start
Wet
to
the
scratch
whistle.
the itch.
Wet
But
the whistle. So
hey, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode, and check us out next week. Podcasting remotely can be a challenge, and when we first began interviewing developers, we ran into every headache imaginable.
from connection issues to video lag to sound quality performance, we knew there had to be a better platform we could use.
That's where Zencastr came in, allowing us to easily connect with guests all over the world. Zencastr is simple to use with no download needed. With studio quality sound, HD video recording, automatic post-production, automatic transcripts, and a cloud backup, Zencastr is the perfect solution for any remote podcast.
If you'd like to have the same easy experience that we did for all your podcasting and content needs, then make sure to go check out zencastr.com/pricing and enter the promo code Ruff Talk VR, and you'll save 30% off your first 3 months.
That's zencastr.com/pricing, promo code Ruff Talk VR. Zencastr, making remote podcasting easy. Hey guys, Dscruffles here. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and rate us 5 stars on whatever podcast platform you listen to. And definitely don't forget to check out our official subreddit and join us there at r/RuffTalkVR. There you can join a community of other podcast fans, join us for some podcast meetup games, get first scoop on new episodes, interact with us a little bit directly, and more. As well, be sure to check out our official podcast supporter link, the Buy Me a Coffee link you can find right in our show notes, where you can donate to the podcast either one time, multiple times, become a monthly supporter. That way you can help us on our journey to make podcasting a full-time gig so we can continue to bring you more great podcasting content. As well, be sure to visit the Kiwi Design link in our show notes as well, where you can go and shop for different Oculus Quest 2 VR accessories, whether it's knuckle straps, lens protectors, face shields, whatever. Kiwi has you covered. So again, visit the Kiwi Design link in our show notes, help support the podcast, and pick yourself up some sweet Oculus Quest 2 gear.